Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to adjust the valve lash on this Generac Guardian standby generator. It's an 11 kilowatt, 2-cylinder, and when you first buy these things, there's a break-in period. You got to read your manual. There's a break-in period. We break it in, and then you want to adjust the valve lash at that break-in period. And then after that, the manual suggests doing it every 400 hours for this model. Check your owner's manual. Each model could be slightly different. I don't know. I only know what my manual says. And we're going to do this here today, step by step. Hopefully I can kind of show you how. And we have everything we need here to do it, except for I don't have new valve cover gaskets. They suggest every time you pull the valve covers off, you put new gaskets on. I don't have them. I'll get them later and put them on, and you'll see how when we pull this off, I'll just take the old one off, put the new one on. Not a big deal. So I got my friend Paul here to help me today. I'm going to kind of be the cameraman and hopefully be able to get the camera in there and show you everything we're doing. And so let's get started. First thing we need to do anytime we work on this generator, first we push the red button to turn it off. This warning sticker here says anytime we work on it, we should pull this fuse out. Generac recommends that, so I do it. And then over here, we flip the breaker off. So now the generator is disabled and we can safely work on it without it starting up. Okay, first thing I want to do is take the screws out of this shroud piece here, pull this off. We can reach down in there and turn the engine from that end, the exhaust end, rather than do it from in here where it's really tight. It'll also work down there. That's going to be easier for us. Next thing we need to do is just going to pull the wire off the spark plug here. Then we can go ahead and take that spark plug out. 13/16 spark plug wrench. Okay, now we can see down in there, inside the spark plug hole, that's how we're going to tell when we're at top dead center, because we can see the crown of the piston through that hole. Next, there's 4 bolts in the corner of this valve cover here. We already have them out. We're just gonna pop that off there. There you go. You can see our valve cover gasket tore when it was coming off. So I'm going to have to get a new one of those. I don't have one here today, but I'll get a new one and replace it later. That happens with age. No big deal. Now you can see the valves are exposed here, so we can start turning the motor by hand, and we'll be able to see when that piston is at top dead center. Okay, it's going down. Top dead center is when that piston is at its highest point in that hole right there. It's coming. Oh, we'll go back a little. You passed it. More. Wait. I have my arm down in here turning on that wheel. Another thing you can do is put a screwdriver in the hole so you can see when the screwdriver moves in and out. I think that's it. Did we pass it? Right there. Back a little. Okay. You can see the screwdriver stopped and was beginning to start moving the other way, so that's top dead center. So according to our manual, you want to be between 0.05 and 0.1 millimeters, or between 2 and 4 thousandths of an inch. So we're going to take a feeler gauges here. You're going to slide that feeler gauge between the valve stem and the rocker, right there like that. And you want it to be just kind of making contact. This was sliding in and out pretty hard, so we're kind of tight on these valves. We're going to definitely make an adjustment. Okay, so what we need to do is loosen this little 10 millimeter nut right here, and that'll allow this nut up here to turn a little bit easier. It's a 10 millimeter Allen wrench. So we just need to crack that loose a little bit like that. Actually, that turned out to be an 8mm. I'm going to slide the feeler gauge through there a little bit as you're turning the nut to get the appropriate tightness. I'm going to slide it back and forth to see how good a contact it makes. We good right there?
Yep.
Okay. It makes a little contact, but yet it'll still slide nice. And then tighten up the jam nut while holding the Allen nut on the top so that it doesn't turn. There, that valve is set. Okay, that was the exhaust valve we just did. Now we're going to do the same thing on the intake valve. Is that top dead center, they'll both be closed. Okay, crack the jam nut loose. Once again, slide the feeler gauge in there, move it around, and then tighten that. Once you have to get the and tighten that to adjust or loosen, give you more or less clearance. And then we're going to hold that top nut, tighten up the jam nut. And there, that cylinder is set. Then all we're going to do is this other cylinder on the back side here is going to be way too tight to get the camera in there while we're doing it. So I'm just going to do that one, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. I just wanted to demonstrate here. We're all done with the other cylinder on the back side of the generator, and I just want to show how your valves would move so you can help determine where top dead center is just by looking at the valves, but you still need to check that piston hole. This is the exhaust, this is the intake. You can see the exhaust is at the top. Jeez, it's hard to turn with the plugs in there. You can see the intake valve coming up. Okay. Now here the exhaust valve should go and start moving down here. Okay. We come back up. The top dead center, both valves will be up at the top like that. See, now you can see the intake valve starting to go back down. So go back the other way. We should be close to top dead center, but we still need to verify that by checking through the spark plug hole and looking at the piston. Okay, we're done adjusting the valves. We'll put this back together here. Like I said, I tore this valve cover gasket. I'm supposed to be putting new ones on anyway when I'm doing this, but I don't have them handy, so I'm gonna get that ordered. I'll just put this on here for now, and I'll get that new valve cover gasket on here when it arrives. When we get these in here, we're going to torque them down according to the manual, which would be about 105 inch-pounds. 105 inch-pounds equals. I'm just using a clicker type torque wrench. Okay, valve cover is installed. We're going to put the spark plug in. Put the spark plug wire back on. All right, now we're done. So I'm going to flip the breaker back on here. I'm going to put this fuse back in the fuse holder. Now this fuse being out, it's going to throw a little code here. It says fuse problem. All you do to clear that, is hit enter twice, and it's cleared. We can switch this back to automatic, and we're all done. That's just how you can set the valve lash on these generators. Like I said, the manual says every 400 hours, but there is a break-in your first couple years. So definitely do that, and these things will run a lot longer and give you less trouble.